Yo, what's the deal, y'all? This is Straight on Irregular Raps. Welcome, tuning in. Everybody who's tuning in, welcome. This is a hot show for all the listeners, all the viewers, all the people who do music, all the creators out there. This is a show for y'all, you know. And I have Victor Smith on the show. I'm going to bring him on shortly, but before I do, I would just like to say that if you're a Christian rap artist and you would like some, promotions with your music, you put music out in the past or you got music out right now, hit me up, send me your music at irregularraps@gmail.com. You can send up to 3. I'll even let you send up to 5. I'll even let you send up to 10. I may not play it all because I'm listening for, certain sounds and quality, but you can send me and attach some attachments of your songs, and feel free because I like promoting them on my YouTube page through my audio visualizers. So hit me up. That's regularraps@gmail.com. And also along with that, I'm doing some promotion on my website at regularraps.com. It's still in the works of being built. So with your music, you can also send me like what the music, the songs are about. You can also send me like a bio of the artist presented on the songs. And I know some artists, most of the artists who send me music, they like to actually send me their distro kid or United Masters or whatever, the way they're distributing their music, they like to send that all to me. So you can send that to me as well. So with that said, y'all, man, I think this show is going to be a dope show. Like always, what the show is about, like I tell people always, is that, I like to encourage people through the things that I do, the things that I'm living through. And I like to actually bring things onto the show and inspire people, talk about how God is using tools in my life and talk about how God is using my music and talk about even the lessons that I'm learning in life. So I like to talk about those things. But today, I think it's going to be more of a knowledgeable, learning curve on this show. So if you've seen Victor Smith before, you probably seen him twice. You probably seen him 3 times. You probably even seen him 4 times because I've been bringing him on like every month. But the dude is from Sanctified Sound and he has a lot of knowledge to bring. And today is going to be a good show, especially for Christian rap artists. If you're a Christian rap artist, you want to tune in and watch this show because I think we're going to give a lot of good points of view. Things that can help you with your music, things that can help you. We've talked about marketing your music. We've talked about performing your music on stage. But I think today we're going to talk more about like the ministry of Christian rap music. And also, man, we're going to free flow more through this discussion. But if you have any questions for Victor Smith, feel free to ask those questions. And what we're going to do is drop those questions more towards the end of the show. So with that said, man, I'm going to bring the dude Victor Smith on the show. I believe he's ready. He looks ready. He looks prepared. He looked up at the screen, but now he looked back down. Here we go. Victor Smith. What's up? What's up? What's
What's going on, man? A lot going on, bro. A lot going on.
A lot going on. How you feeling, man? What you mean a lot? A lot of good stuff?
A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. Summertime means that we get to help a lot more people, especially a lot of teachers and people that are in school and stuff like that really want to get their career going. This is the time where they go into overdrive. So we have a lot going on as far as, we actually have a recording school out right now. Okay. It's online recording school that people can actually, enroll in. People have enrolled in and are getting the knowledge and everything and taking their careers to a whole nother level. I love it. I love just helping people. That stuff. We also have a summer recording arts program that's going on. So we're taking a few artists and we're kind of going through the gambit. And for 30 days, we're meeting with them. We want to say about twice a week, and taking them through, helping to get a recording, helping them to teach them how to perform. Yeah. We talked before about your stage presentation being so important. So we're teaching people how to actually attack the stage. The last thing is we're helping them to create a plan. Not just creating music and putting on a live show. We got to create a plan for recording artists to get out there.
Mhm.
There's a saying goes that, you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's where a lot of recording artists don't have as an actual bona fide plan for
Mhm.
success. So
Mhm. That
we have stuff like that going on.
that
Mhm.
makes so much sense, so much good sense. I think a lot of successful artists, especially, I don't know, independent artists, you really have to be playing if you want to have some type of
Yeah.
success. And I know this may be a whole new good podcast to talk about when it comes to that type of stuff, like especially like the industry. We might talk a little bit about that on the show,
Mhm.
but I mainly want to talk about like just like start off introducing Christian rap onto this show, because
Yeah.
Irregular Raps is focused on Christian rap, y'all. If y'all
Right,
didn't know,
right, right. Such is the name.
such is the name. Yeah. But so we gonna chop it up, man. I want to know a little bit about you in terms of Christian rap, your ears when you listen to Christian rap music. Do you listen to Christian rap music these days? You used to do Christian rap, but do you listen to Christian rap music?
Honestly, not as much as I used to.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. Christian rap has changed. Um, from what I'm used to doing and what I'm used to saying, and how I grew up. Um, not saying that it's any worse. It's just different. And
Yeah.
so, I listen to it, and mainly, I'm hearing almost like everybody's trying to follow the same mold. And so, I mean, it's the auto tune, sing rap type of stuff, over
Yeah.
what we used to call techno music. Back in the day, we called it techno music. But
Yeah.
the electronic music has fused with hip hop, and it's opened up a platform for a lot of artists to be able to express themselves. And I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
But when you're following the same mold every time, it seems to get kind of played out.
Yeah.
And and there's so many artists now that, because of this, is having a platform to actually do what they do, which they wouldn't have. A lot of artists, honestly, a lot of artists would not have had a platform if that was not introduced. The
Mm.
auto tune, where you can do anything and it sounds good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have held a candle back in the day, but now everybody's doing it. So but I am happy that a lot of messages, a lot of people have found a platform to actually minister
Mm.
in a way that the way that they can do it. But as for me, I don't listen to a lot of it. I
Mm.
like the real, the old, not the old school,
Yeah.
the Run DMC stuff. I'm not talking about
Mm.
that. I'm talking about, like, the before the auto tune took over.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rap with, I like to call it, uh for lack of a better term, this is not the term I really want to use, but it's the substance that you're
Like
actually
conscious, like
talking.
almost like
Conscious
almost
rap.
like conscious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, conscious rap. I love that type of, make me feel, make me have emotions
Yeah.
about your music. Make me, go back into a place where, I was, kind of, uh, if I was dealing with something, I was going through some things.
Hmm.
Um, help me to know that you understand where I'm coming from. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of music nowadays. It's the same old stuff. You talk about the same stuff.
Same.
The
Yeah.
amateur stuff that we hear a lot of. The killing demons. How many people how many spirits we can slaying and stuff like that, and
Mm.
how close we are to God, and
Hmm.
um and it's all well and good, but at the same time, are you hitting artists? Are you hitting the audience where they are?
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
I understand that a lot of recording artists want to keep the spiritual aspect of it so prevalent, but you've got to learn how to become a lot more creative in how you do it. Same way
Hmm.
Jesus did when he presented, the kingdom of heaven. He went into parables. He came down to where they were, into what they could understand. And then at that same spot, a lot of people didn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he tried his best to come down and talk about the kingdom of heaven is like a farmer, or is like a king, and because it was what it was for that particular time. So, you know, so for that reason alone is really why I don't really listen to a lot of hip hop on a
Mhm,
regular basis, is because I'm hearing
mhm.
the same stuff over and over and over and over again. It's no
Okay.
substance.
Yeah. So people who are watching, man, I see some people hopped on. If you got any questions, and if you feel like you can stump Victor Smith on his show, feel free to drop that question on here. We're gonna go to the end of the show and ask Victor some questions. So feel free, y'all. But I got a question for you, man, because I agree, like there's not a lot of substance with rap music like it used to be back in the day. Um, Sometimes I hear people say that some of the music, Christian music, sounds too much like secular rap music because of the way we rap and the use of, like you said, a lot of auto tune. um, I'm curious though, where do you think that comes from? Like, you said techno music used to have auto tune and now is in the rap music. I remember like when T-Pain he used auto
Yeah,
tune, that's when it really became popular. And I
right.
noticed people like to bring stuff like from they like to make old school sound hot again, or they'll try to now with genres they'll try to fuse different genres together. Do you feel like that that's what it really came from, like T-Pain doing the auto tune, or do you feel like it's something else, all
Now,
this harmony stuff?
yeah, let me clarify as far as the T-Pain stuff. When he first came out with it, it was corny. He was the only one doing it at the time that was really popular. He was in a league of his own at that particular time, and it took a while for it to actually come on. I remember there was a song called California Love.
Hmm.
Back in the day, Dr. Dre and Tupac.
Yeah.
That I can't remember the guy's name who did the hook on it, and but it was the vocoder that he used, which is what some artists are doing too now. That's more on the singing, the actual singing. They're using vocoders and stuff like that. But it's in hip hop as well, but it's more on singers and gospel and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, but that it was becoming popular when he did it.
Mm.
He wasn't the first one. He was the first one with that stepped out and really promoted like they needed to promote to do it, but he wasn't the actual first person to use it.
Yeah.
So everything that comes out popular is got to start somewhere, and a lot of times it started in some backyard somewhere in Minnesota, or deep in New Orleans, and places until somebody popular hears it and say, "Hey, I want to adopt that into my music."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, mhm,
Yeah, I want to go more into this because more into something else, but it's still in the
mhm.
same category, because I noticed like this is touching more on the beats, but also I think it's touching more like on the inserts. Like you have these vocoders, and I feel like for me, I feel like music, the sound of music is more modern. Like the sound of music is more updated. The way they vocal the voices is more
Yeah,
updated. It's easier, a lot easier. They have
right.
so many
You
um
perfected the skill.
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's one of the reasons why you hear so much of the same thing, because it's so easy to make the voice sound like it's really harmonizing on the key. You can change the
Yeah,
key, the
yep. It's so
vocals.
easy.
Yeah,
Who was that? Stevie Wonder was doing it a lot back in the day as well.
really,
So, yeah, a
really.
lot of some of his music that he was putting it out, he was actually using vocoders. It's not the popular stuff, it's the stuff that we hear, that we always hear
Mm,
Stevie doing, but he played with the vocoder a lot as well. So,
I'm
mhm,
surprised. I
yeah,
gotta go back and listen to some of his old
yeah,
songs, and it was probably really subtle, I guess, huh?
it was subtle. It was
Okay.
subtle.
Yeah.
It was subtle. Now, what brought it to light for me was a old Cosby episode, uh, and he it was the kids. I can't remember who actually brought him in. I think it was Claire Huxtable. Took them a couple of the kids to see Stevie, and he used the vocoder, you know, with the keyboard,
Mm.
you know, on one of the episodes and stuff like that. Some of the old heads get that reference, but but that really made me wonder if he actually did that stuff in his music, went
Mm.
back and listened to some stuff that wasn't really, you know, popular. Some of the stuff that he did, you know, had that stuff incorporated into it.
That's interesting. Wow.
Mhm.
I mean, I know artists from back in the day, they started stuff that we don't even think about, like stuff that we think is real new was
Mhm.
really presented back in the day when artists from, I don't know, 1920 or something started doing whatever. But
Right.
it's interesting, man, how things become modern from, way back when nobody knew about it. But
I mean, to be honest with you, it's not the fact that it's just, you know, that it's so old school, um, that, you know, it's not adopted today, and people have
mm,
modernized the old techniques. But
mhm,
this is the thing, is that the old techniques still work. And if you look at, you know, the stuff that, you know, people are doing nowadays, like think about, you know, click tracks
yeah,
and, you know, drum, the process is still the same. The only thing
mm,
that's different now is the sounds, you know,
mm,
and how we are able to actually, you know, put this stuff together is become a lot easier, but the process is still the same. The
mhm,
structure of it is a lot more modern, you know, but the process, I mean, I started working with this program. This was one of my first programs when I first got started, was Cakewalk.
mm,
And it was one of the less expensive DAWs back in the day, but the process has not changed from that to Cubase to, you know, Fruity Loops to, um, you know, what is it, Nuendo.
mm,
You had um, Pro Tools, and now you have Studio One. The
mm,
process is the same. You
mm.
know, it's just the programs are a lot more user friendly, and you have a lot of uh, you know, rap processes of how you come up with things, and how you're using the technology now has become a lot more user friendly, but the
Yeah.
process is still the same.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll talk more about like the process, like elaborate on
Mhm.
that more, because I know there's a lot of producers. There's a lot of stuff to learn when it comes to producing music, but there's a lot of new stuff coming out too, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of exciting stuff, and like producers, like me, get excited when we see a lot of these new things. And I would just encourage producers not to overwhelm yourself and not think you have to get everything,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I know some producers fall into that trap, and I know some right now on my mind right now. So I try to stick with like certain ones that I know I can use really well, and I might add something else into it to learn one at a time
Right.
until I master that next one. But that's a whole nother subject, man. I want to jump to this next subject because I think it's a big one, and I think
Mhm.
with Christian rap music, I've noticed over time it has definitely changed, um, as far as quality and as far as the content of the music. So I think we talked a lot about the quality. There's much more to talk about in terms of quality, but I think what I want to focus a little more is like the content, because when we get into the content of the music, we're like, that's when the ministry starts to show, like when we bring our message into on a platform of our music when we're performing. So man, I man, I hear this a lot with people who are fans or who are not, who used to be fans with music. This is what I mainly hear. I don't like Christian rap. I'll say the reason I hear I hear fans say I don't like Christian rap music, and I used to like it, but not
Mhm.
anymore, because um one of the main reasons is because they used to present God a lot back in the day, but now they don't really present God. Like the theological message is not really in the music like it used to be back in the day. So, man, with that said, um, what do you think about Christian rappers who don't always put heavy, like theological things into their music? Do you feel like that's necessary? First of all, that's my first question. Do you feel like it's a necessary thing for at least and I understand not every Christian rap artist have to do that, but do you feel like there needs to be some Christian rap artists to like go hardcore with the gospel message in their music?
Yeah, I think it needs to be in context. Um, there are some, quote unquote Christian rap artists that's out that needs to really push, the God, Jesus, um, the God, Jesus message.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think that that's the only thing that we need to be rapping about. Um, there are other issues. There are other situations that people are not talking about that need to be talked about. Just to live in a great life. Getting out of addiction and bondage and stuff like that. That type of stuff is real issues, emotional healing, and mental health.
Mhm.
Those are actual bona fide conversations and music that we need to talk about. Now, we can do it from a Christian aspect of it. There are a lot of recording artists that don't necessarily deal with those type of things, even though that's the prevailing issues going on right now. Now, I do understand that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, are you winning souls?
Mhm.
It doesn't matter heavily as far as the whole scope of everything about the issues and stuff like that. And God
Yeah.
can heal everything. God is the answer to everything. I got that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if we're winning souls and we're not addressing those issues, if we're not dealing with the stuff that people deal with on a regular basis, how long do you think that faith is going to last? If they have problems and issues and trials and stuff like that they're going through, some people's faith is not that strong,
Mhm.
and they just come out of addiction, they just come out of prison, and they come out of abuse, all of that type of stuff, but they're still in that mess. Who's
Mhm.
dealing with those particular type of issues? The common things. There's so much to talk about when it comes to your music. You could have an album that's feel like, I love what Cray did.
Mhm.
His album was talking about it was a rehab,
Yeah.
and he was talking about mental health, and the stuff
Yeah.
that he had to go through as a Christian, and being in have everything crashing around him as a Christian,
Mhm.
and he had to go through a self discovery again. There was this video that I watched a long time ago. I'm sorry, it's not a long time ago. It's a few weeks back. About him going back and looking at how he used to be, how he used to present himself at just interviews.
Mhm.
And I when I saw it, I was just like, oh, let me hear this, because I've heard a lot of people talk about how you changed. You don't
Yeah.
talk about Jesus is
And that was
alive and all
actually
this
going to be
other stuff. Yeah,
my next question for you
yeah,
when you brought him up, because a lot of people always
right.
question that about him. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I applauded it, because one of my favorite albums that he did was not an album at all. It was his mixtape Church Clothes. I loved how he came and talked about other types of issues, other types of things. Um, and he used unorthodox processes on how he presented the message of God. And a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of
Mhm.
people looked at it as, hey, he's turned his back on God. He's turned his back on how he used to be. He was just Jesus Christ, Christ, Christ.
Yeah.
But this particular video that I saw him go back and listen to him talk, it was crammed, filled with Jesus, and how he explained it, because how he how some people articulate things is not always the truth on what's actually going on and what's
Mhm.
actually going on in your mind. You're only hearing the output of what's being put out there, but you don't know what's going on in somebody's mind unless you ask them. And that's what I appreciated about this particular video. was that he talked about what was actually going on in his mind. And so he was thinking too much about, hey, I got to put this in, I got to put that in, I got to put this in, I got to say Jesus all through this to make sure that you over communicate the gospel and stuff like that. And so he started to, kind of just say that, hey, that was all well and good, but at the same time, you need to know who you are and let your light shine, and people know what you're about. You don't have to over communicate the gospel and try to cram Jesus down everybody's throat,
Yeah.
and that's good for the super Christians, but for the people who we're trying to reach, they don't even want to hear that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to the stand outside the club at the club line and talking about Jesus is the way, the truth, the light. No man comes to the Father but by him. You all y'all going to hell. You got to get saved and all this other stuff. And it's like you're not reaching anybody doing that type of stuff. If you're going, and that's our main focus on what we're trying to do, is reach the lost. Okay. Now, if you're there to empower other Christians, by all means, Jesus, God all day. But when it comes to actual people, the actual people that who have turned their back on God, one of the reasons why is because it was crammed down their throat. And so Lecrae started to realize who his real audience is. And so he fashioned his message in a way that it reached them. I teach, during the year, and out of all the Christian artists that I've played, I teach music, and one of the things that I did was I exposed them to a whole lot of Christian artists that they've never heard. I played it constantly. New artists, I was, just trying to get them to see that, hey, you don't have to listen to the same people over and over and over and over and over again. That there are Christian artists that are not so indoctrinized that they can't, reach you at your level. And so one of the artists that they identified, there's two of them actually, that they identified with the most is, number one was Lecrae. I'm sorry, it was three. One of them was Lecrae, simply because he was iconic. He was like a Kirk Franklin of Christian music, and it's undeniable. They loved how he articulated his message. He reached the lost, which what he's fashioned his career to do was to reach the lost. It's not just for Christian. It's for folks that have turned their back on God and who have never heard Christ articulated. He's fashioned his message to talk to them, and they hear it. The second one was a cat down here called Star Ringo. If you haven't heard who Star Ringo is, go look him up. He's from Monroe, Louisiana. Yeah, but he is making some major noise. And he sounds almost on the level of NBA Youngboy, the big top, secular rapper that's out now. So, but he doesn't curse in his music. He's a bona fide Christian recording artist, but he doesn't have that label of Christian recording artist. He's a recording artist that has Christian values. But the third one was NF. And you talk about relatability. NF talks about his struggles, his personal struggles. He talks about the stuff, the times where he even struggles with his Christianity. Just listening to him talk, we did an artist study about him and, how he puts his music together, who his influences are. It was obviously Eminem. I'm trying to think of the other cat's name. I can't think of his name.
Christian rap artist?
It was a secular rapper.
Okay.
That's talking about Eminem. That's kind of on the same lines as Eminem, but how he articulates his message is undeniable. The lyricism. He's not trying to find punchlines and just fill his songs with a whole bunch of punchlines. The whole song is a work of art. And how he presents it, I mean, it's It's crazy. I
Yeah.
can't articulate how good it is. And and he's selling out arenas. He's all around, just on top, and he's not even carrying himself the same way. You
Yeah.
know, as carrying himself, kind of correct that statement, not necessarily carrying himself the same way, but he's not trying to be something that he's not. But
Mm-hmm.
he's reaching a whole bunch of people who are just like him or who were just like him. He's reaching those type of people. Every artist has an audience that you are designed to reach, and don't try to overdo it, or try to be something that you are not. And so the reason why a lot of these artists are successful is because they found out who they are. Lecrae found out who he was. And that's why he's able to reach the masses like he can, is because he actually knows who he is.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about like NF, like what type of impact he's really making. I follow his music a little bit. Not I really don't follow his music, but I listen to his songs. And um what type of impact do you think he's really making? Because his lyrics, I mean, he's very skilled, he's very talented.
Who are you
Who do
talking
you
about?
think who do you think
NFL.
who do you think he's really reaching out to? Like what groups of people do you feel like
The looked over,
looked over?
um the people with some serious, like not serious, but even just slightly mental health issues.
Okay.
um Folks that have been hurt by society. He has a song called Lost. You listen to that song, you have to hear it about 3 or 4 times to get the actual message. If that's not describing you. uh but sometimes we feel lost. We feel
Yeah.
so lost
Yeah.
in society. We feel so lost in our in what we call this thing we call life. We feel lost in it.
I got
um
I got another
mhm,
quick question because NF, he's one of them rappers who really don't throw like a lot of theological stuff in his music.
right.
But when I think about people who are lost, and then who may have like anxiety, what would you say if somebody, not me, but somebody listening may say, well, only God can save the lost, or like God is the answer for
Yeah.
people who have anxiety.
Yep.
But you may not, like, I don't know, have you heard NF pronounce that in his music, or do you think there's a reason why, if he doesn't do that like right in your face, do you think there's a reason why it's not presented in the music like that?
Well, to be honest with you, because for him, and this is just me speculating, I hadn't talked to him, but um what I think for him, it's more of starting the conversation. There's a thing that happens when you start a conversation about losing your mom to drugs, or losing your mom to alcohol, or um losing people, being left alone, like I said, mental health issues,
Yeah.
feeling like you're inadequate. Just being able just to start the conversation of, this is an issue that people aren't dealing with, and who's to say that he's not doing it at his shows?
Mm-hmm.
you know um you know uh if you go online and look at some of his actual performances, not the tour stuff. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
organic things. He's talking about these issues,
Yeah.
and he's calling out to people to say, hey, you know it's that he deals with it as well. And so it's not necessarily a message talking about turn your life over to God or anything. But what it is saying that, hey, you can be a Christian and have issues, as well. You don't, just because you have issues doesn't mean that God can't accept you. That's what I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
because you have issues doesn't mean that God can't accept you. NF is a Christian. Don't uh Don't get it twisted. He is a Christian and he professed Christ. But he doesn't feel the need to cram Jesus, Jesus, God, God down your throats, because that's not the people who, because think about it. Remember when I was saying that you are your demographic.
Yeah.
Stuff like that would not have reached him. And so he's going out to the people that were like him and presenting the gospel, presenting healing to people in a way that they would listen to, that he would listen to, and the people that's like him would listen to. This is all a part of knowing who you are.
Yeah.
If you understand that, hey, if somebody came to me with, Bible thumping and stuff like that, and I'm running the other way, why would you still continue to chase them? So he found a way, like the Bible, Paul talks about, I become all things to all men so that I can win some. And have found a way to present the gospel in a way that reaches the people who were like him, who articulates the Christian values like him, and so to a certain degree, I applaud him. I applaud that, because think about the people that he's impacting. He's giving people who would listen to Machine Gun Kelly, who would listen to Eminem, those type of artists, and giving them an alternative of not just listening to death, death, kill, kill, death to all my haters and all this other stuff. It's like, yo, like there's other ways to attack injustice, to attack issues and stuff like that. He's given them an alternative, and so I applaud it.
Yeah, and to me, it feels like a stepping away, like a step away from the music where they're talking about like kill or sex or drugs or whatever. I sometimes and I hope the music is coming out this way, but sometimes I feel like seeds are planted, and it may not be a huge seed, like God is going to save them right there and then, but I feel like it's a stepping stone sometimes to get them saved in the future. So you never know. But also you made a good point. You don't know how they're presenting the gospel behind the scenes, and I think it's not right for people to really judge these artists based on what they hear in the music. That you don't know their lifestyle. You don't know if you haven't been to their performance. Maybe you need to go to their performance, see what they're presenting sometimes, to see what they're really about. I do want to go back to Lecrae a little bit, and I noticed like some artists will, see Lecrae, he's one of them artists whose music's transitioned like from really heavy gospel rap to less of it. Yeah, and I feel like you can't see that like through a lot of up and coming artists, because they didn't do that like him. Like they saw Lecrae, so Lecrae was more like the role model to a lot of up and coming rap artists. So I do get a sense that there's a lot of up and coming rap artists, Christian rap artists, who they may see him doing that and they may do it for the wrong reason, not knowing what his heart may be like, because like you said, his heart may be to really try to reach out to people who listen to secular music, and their heart may be like, oh, he getting popular. You know what I mean? They see the popularity in Lecrae. So I feel like some up and coming artists would do it just because of what they see, the popularity side. And I don't know if you have a comment based on what I just said.
No, it's good. People do follow the fame instead of the process. You don't, because you don't see the process. That's the reason why a lot of artists don't, know what to do, is because they don't see it, or they don't research it enough to know that, or ask the right questions to know what people are doing behind the scenes. All you see is what media tells you is what's out there, or what's done. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, that goes on after the shows, after the concert goes off air, that happens before the concert comes on air. There's so much stuff that goes on when it comes to talking about the gospel and talking about Christ.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to drop a question, y'all. For Victor, if you feel like you can stump him, feel free. I do have a question. I'm just gonna put it down on a map on here. So
Okay.
this dude, he
Let's go.
said, "Why?" He said, "Why do you think some Christian rappers want to be called just rappers and omit the Christian part?"
Well, okay, I have to be careful how I answer this question. Um, that is a personal reason why certain artists do that. This is what I think. This is just me personally. Um, and it's the same thing that a lot of people have been talking about. When have you ever gone to a Christian McDonald's? When have you ever seen a Christian basketball player, a Christian basketball team, a Christian football team or something like that?
Mm,
The rapper is just a title. It's just a job description. Okay. And the Christian part of it is more of the values and what you stand for.
mhm.
And so understanding what the titles are, we have talked about these things and tried to label everything when the labels don't even matter. God's not looking to see if you are a Christian rapper or not.
Yeah,
He's looking to see if you are winning souls.
yeah,
And so it doesn't matter if you don't profess to be a Christian rapper, but you can go out and win 1 million souls to Christ and God be absolutely pleased. We have put so many labels upon things that it's ridiculous to
yeah,
even have let that be a topic of conversation on somebody dealing with mental health, or somebody dealing, or what these particular people are doing with their ministries. Um, but for me, I think that some people are trying to get away from being labeled, so heavily that, and this is just me and what I think, that sometimes it can, um, man, I have to be careful how I say this. Um, it can be a distraction for the message, for the actual message. It could be a
yeah,
distraction.
yeah, yeah,
Because of what you're saying and how you present something. Oh, I thought you was a Christian rapper. And
yeah.
it's like, yo, you missed the point of what
Uh,
I just said just because of how it came out. And it because we're so stuck on these labels, everything has to be marketed right.
yeah.
Everything has to be so P's and Q's instead of listening behind the label. And what are these people actually presenting? What are they talking about? So that's a lot more important to me,
Mhm.
than the labels of Christian rappers and stuff like that. But to answer the question, you would have to ask that particular person because everybody has different reasons for doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw an interview before with Andy Mineo. He gave an answer, and his answer was almost like yours. I think he said, imagine an anchor, and man, you don't call if he's a Christian, that anchor man's not going to call himself a Christian anchor. He's an
Yeah,
anchor.
he's an anchor.
Yeah. So why do we have to, put it on rap music? And I do also get the argument that some people will make that, um I know some people will probably say, well, you have to categorize, Christian rappers to be able to find them,
No, okay, so I do kind of understand that when it comes to marketing, when it comes to finding your stuff on the shelf. You want your fans to be able to find where you are, and it's great to label yourself, to separate yourself, not necessarily from the secular artists, but to you separating yourself so your audience can find you faster.
yeah,
Okay, but if you are talking about, and your whole ministry is about reaching the lost, then why are you so in the church? Why are you trying to hide in the church, or why are you trying to, put yourself where you want to find ways to get to the lost so they can
yeah,
hear you?
yeah,
And so if you're so separated and put in, this category, you're you're not reaching, as far as marketing is concerned, you're not reaching the audience that you're trying to reach. because you have a label on you.
And what I
And
like
so
to
we have to
say,
put you on this side of the store instead
yeah,
of this side of the store.
and what I like to say sometimes, it feels like it puts us in a box. You know, we
Yeah.
gotta get out of the box. Like, and like you made a good point, man. Reaching out to the laws, sometimes it can prevent us from, as Christian rap artists, from really reaching out to the lost, because I think even like maybe secular or fans of secular rap artists, they may see the title Christian rapper and think garbage anyway. A lot of times, I think, man, that title can play in so many different directions, either garbage or I don't know, just the stuff we talked about early, but that's what came to my mind too. Um
Yeah.
Man, but I want to go to something else with Lecrae, because we talked about how his music's changed. Do you feel like he had to do what he did in order to reach out to the lost, like those who really mainly listen to secular rap music? I ask that because you also have rap artists who go to prison, who go to the streets, and who go to the lounges and clubs or whatever. Can you see like Lecrae doing stuff like that, or do you feel like the way he went was perhaps the best way
For
to
him, yeah.
transition? Yeah.
Lecrae actually, from my vantage point, didn't do it for the audience. He did it for him. He found out who he was and who he was supposed to be and who he was in Christ, and that he didn't have to overdo it to present the gospel. That's him. It was a self-discovery that happened with Lecrae. It had nothing to do with anybody else. That's why now he can care less what anybody thinks, because he now knows who he is. When he was shoving God down people's throats, he didn't know who he was at the time. And that's what, if you go back and look at that interview or that video that he put up about that, he will tell you himself. He was still trying to find his identity. But now he understands his identity because of the self-discovery that he went through. And he's presenting the gospel according to his identity as it is right now. Now, let's flip to another artist. I don't know if a lot of people understand or who knows who Seven is. This artist from Florida, I believe. He is a bona fide.
He's kind of affiliated with Bizzle a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's with the group, but he has his own record label called Hog
Mob. Yeah, Hog Mob. Yeah. But he was I think he was either Crip or Blood.
Yeah, he was in the gang.
Yeah, he was
one of them.
He was in one of them. But I'm talking about hardcore Stone Cold Killers and drugs and thievery, alcohol, all this other stuff. Just all kind of stuff that they were dealing with. But what I love about him is that he's so Christian. He's so Christian.
Yeah.
But the dynamic is strong and it makes sense because of this hardcore guy, this hardcore thug can be so into the world at one point and make a complete 180. And all he's professing is Christ. It's beautiful.
Powerful testimony so now, he got, man.
Yeah, the testimony is bananas. I'm talking, it's crazy. You got to look him up. His name is Seven. But the way that he brings the gospel across makes you feel it. I mean, every lyric that he spits, I don't care if it's fast or slow, whatever, you feel the emotion and that he really means what he's saying. And for his audience, for the hardcore killers, and you have a lot of rappers right now that's saying they killers and they saying they rappers, they thugs and all this stuff, ain't got nothing on Seven. Seven makes them look like they just doing this in the schoolyard. I promise you, from his rap sheet and the people who's around him, their rap sheets are a mile long. Yeah. And they talk about it in their music. They talk about where they came from, the stuff that they did, because they're trying to reach other thugs that was on their level and say that, hey, it ends in nothing. God is the only way, the truth, and the life. you know, and God can get you out of your situation, because this is the thing about the lifestyle that they're living in. It's not a quick fix. It's not an easy fix. It's like, you know, it's death outside of the gangs. Once you to get out, you gotta be killed out.
Serious.
And so it's the stakes are a lot higher when it comes to them. So they have to like let their people know that, hey, the only person ain't nobody you can trust but God. He's the only way that can get you out of the lifestyle that you in. But for his audience, he is exactly what they need. And so he might be too strong for a lot of Christians, to be honest with you. And he puts God in everything.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I'm saying? But he might be too strong for us.
That's interesting too. Yeah, that's interesting that he puts a lot of it in there.
Jesus, God. You go listen to his music, and it might be all right. Now you don't have to be like that. Can we talk about some other issues? It's like, brother.
You know, sometimes I really think his testimonies that he put out, like his interviews, really helps a long way. You get to really see who he was and who he is. You get to see his appearance. It shows how important like other things beside our music really needs to be presented. It needs to be presented through testimonies. You need to be creative in showing yourself, man. Like people want to see who you are, not just the music. They don't want to just hear the music. So he's a really good example. If you want to like check him out, go check him out, man. Powerful testimonies. And yeah, man, you know, I got another question, because you talked about identity and how like Lecrae was he had to find his identity. What is that, man? This is a big question, probably. I don't know, but what does that look like? Like how does the Christian rap artist find their identity in the music? And I feel like that's a big question, because is it the identity, and what are we looking for? Like the identity, who they are, like in terms of what they need to present through their music.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. You just have to be confident in who
Thank
you are.
Thank you for making me feel stupid. I appreciate it.
It's really not that hard. I mean, we try to make it so deep, and you know, even psychologists try to make it so outlandish so that you can pay $6,000 to go to this conference to find out your purpose and who you really are. You know, but it's really not that deep. Think about, all you have to do is just be comfortable with who you are. If you don't have a horror story, Truth talked about this. The Truth talked about this on one of his first albums. He said that he ain't got no horror story. You don't have to have a horror story. You just have to understand and say that, hey, use what you've been through and be honest with yourself. Use what you've been through to target a lot of people who are in the same boat as you. 7, he's going after thugs and gangsters and stuff like that. You have who is this? Names are kind of getting out of my head.
What does it start with? B.
Man, gosh. Get off that. But you have a lot of artists, not Lecrae, but Lecrae found out who he is. He found out who he is. And if you look at a lot of places that Lecrae is going, he's linking up with youth organizations and nonprofit organizations, and you know, people. He's talking about messages of the places where he's come from. He talks about church hurt a lot, you know, because he's been through that. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, his messages kind of almost, or sometimes like NF, like been through the hurt. Like NF, he's been through the hurt. So I can hear that sometimes I can hear that a lot actually through Lecrae's songs.
So don't try not to be who you are. I was thinking about D1. D1 in New Orleans, he talks about he is a Christian, but he's not a thug. He looks, I mean, he has that look with the dreads and all that type of stuff. Like he can come off hardcore. When you talk to this dude, he's got joy outside of this world. You know what I mean? And so, but he talks about being a Christian. You know, he even has a song talks about, it says, I'm a Christian. Okay. but he's talking about issues that he dealt with. So
Mm,
all we have to do is just stay in our lanes and
mm.
really promote and us understanding that it's okay. It's okay that you're in your own lane. Just find a whole bunch of people that's in the lane with you. And that's what these artists have done, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. The lane is very important. But since we're on that topic, man, I think there's even like rap artists who have been creating music for a while.
Mhm.
And you may have rap artists who may be jumping into the rap game at a later age, more than the usual rap age groups. So
Yeah,
what would you say about them? Like, even like you look at like Jay-Z, he's been around for a while, he's still doing it, he can still do it because he got the swag, the OG swag, people would say. And then you got like a rap artist named Toby Nwige.
the weak
I
way.
think
Way.
Nwigwe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mess it up, but like he's another artist. Like older artists, they have
Yeah.
found their lane as an
Yeah.
older
It
artist.
didn't start off
Older
like
rap.
that though.
Yeah, it didn't.
It
Yeah.
didn't.
So like for a rap artist at an older age who's been doing it for a while, and I feel like I don't know if that's more of a thing with Christian rap music, but how do you find your lane as a if you're older and you're doing Christian rap music?
Now, we thinking just Christian rap, or are we thinking
Yeah,
just you
that
as an artist?
um, let's go to the Christian rap.
Okay.
Let's stick with Christian rap.
So, how do you find your lane? So, as a Christian rap artist, you have to figure out what your message is. This is one of the first things that we teach here at Sanctified Sound is finding your message and understanding your message. Everybody has a different message. It's almost like a pastor, right?
Yeah,
So, a pastor, they have 52 Sundays to preach a message, right? And so what they end up doing instead of preaching 52 independent messages, they do series, right? And so they do like a series on faith. They do a series on healing or whatever it is, the family or whatever. But they put that together and they have a message for the time that they're in right now. And so for a recording artist, a Christian recording artist, you have to focus on what message are you trying to present. Now, make sure that this is a message that ties directly in with who you are. Because if you're preaching a message just because you heard and it was good and it barely relates to you, just because people were hollering and screaming and reposting and all this other stuff, then you're outside of your lane. You have to find a message that identifies with you. So it's not necessarily the marketing or anything, because the marketing comes from the message. Okay. The music comes from the message. Okay. Everything stems from your message. Your outfit comes from your message. Your stage show comes from your message. Everything stems from your message. So in finding your lane, you have to figure out, okay, God, what are you saying in my life right now? And then you're finding a story. You're finding something in your life where you can a tether of what identifies you with that particular message, a story, something that happened to you. The gorier the better, okay? Because people are dealing with that type of stuff. And so, and how you were dealing and how you present that message, that is your lane. That's what your lane is. Think about what the albums and all this stuff from other recording artists. Let's stick with Lecrae. Go back to his albums and go back and think about what he was dealing with at those particular moments. Those albums are speaking his life. Okay, that's what it is. Is your projects and your products, are they screaming your life? Are they what you're dealing with right now? Are like, because think about it, that's the type of stuff that people need to hear. The for real, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
How is God blessing you? How is he changing you? How is he molding you? What problems and what issues are you dealing with right now? That's your lane. The reason why God is exposing you to those specific things is because when you come out of it, even if you're in the middle of it, God can still be glorified. And there's certain people around you that need to hear what you are going through so it can help them to get past what they're going through. That's how you find your lane. You have to understand your message and knowing who you are and you being okay with it. It's fine. You can be
Yeah,
who you are.
well, you made a lot of good strong points on that, man. I appreciate you guys for watching it. It's still time if you got any questions for Victor Smith. We're talking about Christian rap, man. If you got any questions about Christian rap, and even if you want us to like talk about something particular, you just drop that comment down. You know, we'll talk about it next time, because I think like even with what you was talking about, Victor, like albums, people putting out albums, man, that's another topic, because I see a lot of Christian rap artists putting out singles compared to albums. They're putting out EPs too, but there's a lot of singles being put out. And man, I just feel like part of the reason is people want things fast. I mean, people want to see things really fast. And then I remember speaking to one artist not too long ago, and he was just like, yeah, man, it's like people want to hear things fast. And you know, when they hear my album, it's like that's one thing. So they hear that and that's it. that album could have like 10, 11, 12 songs, and they want the next thing. So
that's true, but that's because your album isn't your album may be an appetizer. But you understand that a lot of albums that people are working hard on are steaks. If you want to just put out appetizers and just kind of give people a little bit at a time, boom, boom, boom. I like to make sure that artists are putting out stuff that people can feed on for a while, because this is the problem. The problem is that we're putting out stuff that people aren't. Let me say this a different way. That we are putting out, or we're not putting out projects. We're not.
Yeah, we're not.
To be honest with you. So this example, let me give you this example to kind of, tell you what I mean. Just think about this. Your album or your project or your song is designed to, and picture this in your head, is to reach this banquet of people, of millions of people, right? And it's enough to feed everybody there, okay? And so, but what we have been doing is just feeding our friends, our family, our co-workers, our church members. We've been feeding even just their friends. We haven't really been feeding what it's capable of feeding. And so we're back and telling that whole banquet and saying, hey, what else do you want me to put out? How about feeding the rest of the people that's at the banquet? You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is that we don't put it out like we are supposed to. Instead of using that energy to go put out another song, use that same energy to put out to reach the people who you haven't reached yet, who need your music.
Yeah, man. Oh, this is a big topic. So one more question, man. Like a single, how would you put out a single? I mean, well, no, I'm not even going to ask that. So going back to what you said, do you feel like people are rushing when they put out an album? Are they not taking enough time to, work on their lyrics more and the overall song? Do you feel like people are just trying to get things out quick and not, take the time to build it up, whatever?
I don't think it's necessarily that. I just think a lot of people need to be students of their craft and try to be better. Now, if you're not taking it, now if that's your heart in doing it, then then yes, you need to slow down, because it's about quality. It's not about quantity. Now, if you have quantity of quality, then work. But if you are putting out some stuff and people are just smiling and nodding, you don't really, it ain't a hit. You ain't, put it out like you wanted to put it out. It doesn't have the quality that you want it to have. I'm talking about not just sound. I'm talking about substance in your music, the way that it sounds, the way that you're bringing it across, or even what's being said inside of it. If it's not 100% a representation of who you are as a Christian, as a rapper, or whatever you want to call yourself, then get back in the lab. There's enough music that's out there that's going to that people can listen to. But what keeps people on your side is quality. It's not quantity, it's quality, because we hear
Yeah.
quantity all the time, but
Yeah.
we stop on quality.
Yeah. I hear that. I've heard like some albums where, you know, it just sounded like they just wanted to do quality. And I can definitely hear that on albums where the songs, like there's no difference from song to
Right.
song. And a lot of times I'm hoping
Yeah.
there would be something different from song to song. It just feels like quantity. And I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, I don't want to listen to the next one because
Right.
I'm getting the
I'd
same
rather
thing.
hear I'd rather hear 3 songs of quality than like
Yeah.
21 songs of just quantity. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I'm going
Yeah.
back to that quality. Them 3 songs hitting. I can play that 3 years from now. You know what I'm saying? And it still feels the same way. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So y'all, we're out of time, y'all, man. I know we're gonna go back to what we're talking about a little bit. There's a lot to pull out of this. And again, if you want us to talk about something the next time I bring Victor on, drop a comment on this show and I'll think about it. Other than that, I just want to say one more thing. Rap artists, man, I hear this all the time when I'm interviewing rap artists, and it's a good thing. A lot of times what I hear is that rap artists are willing to be led by God when they're creating music. They're willing to be led by the Holy Spirit. And that's a really good thing that I hear, because the Holy Spirit is here to counsel us, here to guide us, here to be our advocate, here to, give us relief, support. He's here for us, so keep being led by the Holy Spirit. And I know we talked about even the positions that, we go in when we are doing music. We talked about like certain positions, the different lanes is what I'm talking about actually. Sometimes I feel like the Holy Spirit may not draw you to a certain lane, and it may be your flesh, doing that. So I would just encourage y'all to just be led by the Holy Spirit and ask God, like, what lane do you want me to be in with my music? Because not all the lanes are the right lanes for you. So, but I appreciate y'all for watching, and thank you for dropping the comments. I see some comments, great show, awesome show. Appreciate y'all, and thanks for tuning in. Any last comment, Victor?
Man, just go do it. Just find out who you are, understand your message. And if you can't, if you having struggles with that, reach out. There are industries that are helping recording artists, Christian recording artists right now, Sanctified Sound being one of them. So, reach out to us, and just find the help that you need. It's not easy, but it's simple. But getting a mentor or getting somebody who you can trust to help guide you through your walk, through your process, is so important. Accountability is so important. So reach out to these particular places. Like I said, if you're looking for, some help, get with Strid, or you can, contact me, Victor Smith at sanctifiedsound.org. And, hopefully we can help where we can help.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Irregular Raps. Once again, if you got some Christian rap music and you want me to promote it, send it to irregularraps@gmail.com. Other than that, stay tuned, be blessed, flowing God's love. Till next time. Yeah.